Good morning. At the same time as the sun is rising here, just completely over the Golan right now, we have the moon setting exactly diametrically opposite the full moon, surely waning. And it's right there over Ducan Altum. It's a nice moment when we have both lights, the great light to rule the day and the lesser light to rule the night, as the words of Genesis say. Here the water is running over this infinity pool, showing us the boat altar, the boat chapel in sitting on water. It's also like a boat, the whole chapel. The boat altar chapel, and it's like a boat itself. A lonely dove up here. They're a big challenge for the maintenance of the building. They leave a lot of evidence that they were around. Saw some greetings there from Ireland, now from Canada. I didn't know how soon we'd see the sun disk this morning with the haze, a lot of haze. You see, I can barely make out the level of the Golan, and the sun itself helps that now, obviously a little bit more, but a few minutes ago it was impossible to distinguish between the level of the Golan and the haze. The Mount of Beatitudes is a little bit visible, but there it is in the very center now, just above the bushes, but it's not too clear because of the visibility, the low visibility. Where you can see those plastics over the banana plantations. And Nita's coming out for her picture. She loves it here. She's an early worker here in the morning, preparing for the guests to have breakfast. It's amazing all the people who work early. People delivering bread in cities from the bakeries. And we want that kind of service. We love to have those good things. But so many people worked to give them for us. It's amazing the amount of people, the number of people driving buses, healthcare people in hospitals, people round the clock working. It's surely a job for them. Look at this gentleman off to work as well in his JCB or something like that. Oh, it's a big trowel, like a big bulldozer shovel. Where are you, guy? I went up too high. What's going on? Oh, I'm down too low. we let him go. Up too high, down too low. We let him go. Getting poetic this morning. Amazing how many people are out there working. Imagine providing the electricity, supervising water supplies. Basics that we often don't think about, and we only feel a little tinge of difficulty in paying a water bill and electricity bill. Obviously, people also have a hard time sometimes making ends meet there for basics in life. But the amount of service, the debt of gratitude we would have to all those people who do so many things for us. And they express their love for us through that doing. There's a famous line at the end of the spiritual exercises in Ignatius of Loyola, and it says in the Spanish original, obras son amores. Those who love do things. They don't just say, I love you. They do things. They do good things. They provide service, they provide consolation, they provide support, they provide affirmation, they provide real help, survival help. That amazing effort when miners are trapped under the ground and people go out and they work round the clock. Earthquake, buildings collapsed to save life. Love produces works. Love does. And it wouldn't be love if that person stayed sitting down watching television when there was a crisis out in the street in the neighbourhood and a house is on fire. Love gets us moving, gets us doing things. In the early morning, how many people are getting up right now here in Europe? Their alarm clock is ready to go off, and they're going to. There's a little child crying, needs help. There's an elderly person that needs help. There's just the normal work of the day to be done. Teacher getting ready and has to drive an hour to get to the school. So many people doing. And the beauty of that, the goodness in that, the generosity in that, the patience, the tenacity, the perseverance, the diligence, the creativity, the constancy. So many wonderful traits that get developed in us and make us better people, make us bring out that fullness of the image of God, because God also does. God created the world. God does. When we were in trouble, God came to redeem us. God does. And that's the deep faith background that's in the letter of St. James right now, today that we read. Faith isn't idle. Faith doesn't sit on the comfortable armchair and watch the world. Multiply and exercise dominion of the world. The first commandments of God to the human being. We're programmed for that, we're equipped for that, we're set up for that, we have a brain for that, we have a will for that, a willpower, we're given the ability to decide and discern and to do. And look at the marvelous things that are being done. Yesterday I went to have a little checkup on my foot. Got a little issue there, that's why I'm not walking that much these days. The doctor said just take it easy. So I'm not going up on Mount Arbel, just having a quieter rhythm of work, you know. And so I went to this, what do you call the guy? The orthopedic orthopedic doctor. And it was about 20 miles away from where they did the x-ray, but he had the x-rays in his computer. It's just amazing, you know, how our technology has been developed to have dominion of the earth and to gain dominion, to understand it, to put it to work, to allow its potential to be developed. It's such a wonderful reality. And this is not alien or foreign to the redeemed human being. No, on the contrary, the redeemed human being is sanctified through work. Because there we're with God's strength, God's redeemed strength in us. That strength that we often have wasted, that we often have weakened through bad habits, through lack of exercise. You know, muscles need exercise. And we need that growth. And that's doing. I just heard recently, you know, all of us who are in the grandparent generation age, that your second heart are your upper leg muscles, because if you're not strong, you can't move. And if you don't move, all your other organs go into a type of lethargy. And if you keep yourself moving and walking, that's a very powerful asset for health. I had never thought about that. It's a very interesting insight. because obviously when we walk a little bit more, do some more exercise, our lungs are going to be working more, our heart is going to be pumping more, our whole digestive system and all that's going to be working better because we're using more energy. Got some old flowers here. We got some new ones as well. So faith without works is dead. Love without works is dead. Hope without works is dead. You know, we have hope that those miners are still alive and we're going to keep working. Once the conviction is totally established that there's no more possibility of recovering life, then the work stops because that hope is over. James's letter got a very bad rap from some major opinion makers in Christianity for a while. But it's been rediscovered. Just like John's Gospel also got a terrible bad rap from some very rationalistic thinkers. And it was considered to be high-flying. It wasn't supposed to be historical. It was just fanciful, imaginative stuff. And it turns out that John's Gospel provides very serious geographical details, and actually archaeology has validated that, especially with the pools of Bethesda in Jerusalem. Everybody just saw symbolic meaning there, but then it turned out, in fact, when the archaeology showed up with the pools, that John's Gospel was totally on target, and he actually completes a lot of, since it's a later Gospel, he completes a lot of details that weren't mentioned in the synoptics. So the same thing with James's letter. It's been recovered, it's been restored, more trust has grown in it after very severe critique. And it's been discovered particularly also in the area of the wisdom that digested, transformed life through grace. Because that person is wise who lives that way. And that produces good decision making, good discernment, good ordering of values for running of daily life. And so it's a very practical letter. It's a very fruitful letter, very powerful. And it has always been a huge inspiration. You know, the parable of the talents, you're given so many talents to develop. The parable of the mustard seed. The parable of the two sons, the one who went and did the Father's will. And the one who didn't, the one who said he would and he didn't do it. There's so many teachings about the doing part. Obviously, there's another line in Scripture that's very powerful that corrects a false understanding of that, and that is that beautiful line from the Old Testament. I don't have the exact numbers in it right now. Maybe somebody wants to Google it there and post it, but it's something like this. I have it in Spanish in my brain right now. It's like, all our works, you accomplish them, Lord. You accomplish all we do. You are the one who does it. You give us the strength. You give us the guidance. You give us the inspiration. You give us the enthusiasm. You give us the light. You give us the desire. But that's the major interplay of God and his creatures. He wants us to do. He wants us to be responsible. That's why there's also judgment at the end of time. Because we're responsible for it, and we got to get the job done. We got to meet the boss at the end and say, we got the job done. And whatever you did for the least of these, you did for me. Not whatever you thought about it, whatever you said you do about it, but whatever you did for the least of these, you did for me. So God is very interested in our doing, in our works, very interested. Come, faithful servant, you have been faithful in little things, I will put you in charge of greater things. These birds are having a fun time out there. Lots of them there, very low on the water, over the water. I wonder what errands they're running. They're like doing the DHL service for the bird community. You accomplish all our works. So we do it and you do it through us. We have that beautiful prayer we say at Mass, through him, with him, in him. Through him, with him, in him. All honor and glory is yours, Almighty Father, forever and ever. Amen. So that also captures that combination. Like spouses do it together. How much spouses realize together, accomplish together? How much people, friends working together to build a company? We're doing it together with God. Also, those lines from John's Gospel in chapter 15, I am the vine, you are the branches. Without me, you can do nothing. United to me, you can do wonders. You will do greater things than I. Jesus said to the disciples. That's a powerful thing. Amazing richness when we take all of the reality together and not just chop off one little piece and force everything through that line to bring it all together, to bring our lives together. And then we have the gospel today is quite strong, Jesus called to be united with him in his path of suffering. There's again another major mystery that, we are very focused on Calvary, we're very focused on the moments of the passion of Christ. And yet that's all not only for us and for our salvation, but it's actually a paradigm for our lives of how we're called to live. And we're called to follow Jesus in all those mysteries. And that's a very rich source of inspiration and guidance and transformation for us. Whoever wishes to come after me must deny himself, take up his cross and follow me. For whoever wishes to save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake and that of the gospel will save it. And that's a very, very tough offer. It's a great offer, but it's not easy. It's like the guys who go out and train for the Boston Marathon or any marathon or Ironman. The guy who was here, Mr. Shai, who is here to perform the Ironman event. How much training goes into that? He's actually, if you go to his site, he's training now for another huge event that he's never done before, and he's in his mid-40s or early 40s, and he has 42 major body operations, and the amount of training the guy does is absolutely amazing, so inspiring. What profit is there for one to gain the whole world and forfeit his life? My kingdom is not of this world. Sure, it's really not, Jesus. It's in the world, but it's a very different way of thinking. So people, thank you so much for joining. There's a beauty in every morning, even though it's very different. Fascinating. God bless you. See you later, alligators. Thank you for being with us today here at the Sea of Galilee.